Welcome to another episode of Penguin Truth Recommends, where I guide the way down souls into the endless ether of large anime franchises in hopes that they may become new types. Strap into your mobile suit cockpits, because today I'm focusing on the biggest mecha franchise, Gundam. Woo boy! Lupin III was just a warm-up for this. With a franchise as vast and storied as Gundam, often I hear a desperate cry into the inky void, pleading to know where to start. And this is a difficult question, but one which I believe I can, with some degree of expertise, begin to answer. After all, I, Penguin Truth, am nothing if not schooled in the ways of Gundam. But there is a very good reason why answering this question is tricky, and that reason is the multiple continuities that exist. The mainline Gundam universe is set in a fictional future calendar called the Universal Century, which encompasses most of the entries. 1979's original Mobile Suit Gundam and its direct sequels, Zeta Gundam, Gundam Double Zeta, Char's Counterattack, Gundam F91, and Victory Gundam all take place in the UC timeline. Add to that OVA side stories like Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket, 0083 Stardust Memories, 8th MS Team, MS Igloo, and Gundam Unicorn. This timeline is dominated by anime that are, well, not new. And for many anime fans, it can be rough to get through the age barrier, especially if you plan to start at the beginning. But fortunately, Mobile Suit Gundam, the original series, has 3 compilation movies that streamline the events of the show quite well. And even if starting there sounds risky, try the OVA that got me into UC Gundam, 8th MS Team. It's pretty old in itself by now, but doesn't look too ancient and will really pull you into the Federation Zeon conflict, so that you want to see more. You should at least give the movie trilogy a shot, but 8th MS Team will help ease you into it. From there, you might want to check out a smaller, more intimate story set in that part of UC, 0080 War in the Pocket. I reviewed it last year for Otaku Evolution, so maybe you should check out that review, though there are some spoilers. Or, if you want to bridge from the original series to its sequel Zeta Gundam, there's 0083 Stardust Memories. I'm not a huge fan of it myself, and I'll get into why on my show, but it's thought of well by many a Gundam fan. Features like Char's Counterattack and the Gundam Unicorn OVA are a little trickier, because they rely a lot on the viewer's experience with past entries. The bare minimum to comprehend Char's Counterattack would be the original Gundam TV series, or movie trilogy, and Zeta Gundam, but don't shy away from Double Zeta. It's not great, but it has its bright spots. And likewise, Gundam Unicorn requires you to be familiar with Char's Counterattack, so that's in addition to the things you need to watch to get Char's Counterattack. Universal Century features can get deeply steeped in the mythology. I think this is one of the reasons they created alternate takes on the Gundam setup. The alternate takes, or alternate universe Gundams, are an array of mostly unrelated, except for sequels apply, TV shows and movies. They take the general concepts of UC Gundam and give them some twists and tweaks. G Gundam, for instance, is like a World Tournament video game, with broad, flashy stereotypes fighting it out with bizarre martial arts styles. It's extremely weird to the point of almost being off-putting, but it's actually rather colorful and fun, and directed by the guy who directed Giant Robo. Then there's the less tweaked versions of the original Gundam concepts. Gundam X, for instance, is like a what-if of the One-Year War, where instead of a single space colony drop, many colonies fell and devastated the planet. You would think it would be a really dark, depressing show, but it's actually pretty hopeful, and the main character is one of the more likable Gundam leads. But on the other hand, there's nothing too remarkable about the other aspects of it. Gundam Seed and its sequel Seed Destiny are practically the first 2 Gundam TV series with a new sheen, with coordinators instead of new types. And so much paying homage or just outright lifting from those shows, you would think they just wanted to remake them. But unfortunately, Gundam Seed is also a soulless, lifeless, droning production with non-characters for the audience to better insert themselves into the narrative. A narrative utterly lacking flavor or originality. Destiny is even worse, because it takes all the bad elements of the first and amplifies them, then adds its own excesses. These 2 shows remain massively popular, but I'd avoid them like poison if I were you. They're utter wastes of time. 2 very similar yet unrelated Gundam entries are Gundam Wing, the only Gundam series that hit big in North America, and Gundam 00. Both are about a small group of Gundam pilots intervening in world conflicts, challenging authority and maybe causing more trouble than preventing. Both have thin Bishonen main pilots, masked antagonists, and politics. But Gundam Wing is more obsessed with politics and hammering the audience over the head with its philosophies during battles. Double O is more about cramming in as many subplots into small amounts of space and running out of things to say before the end of the show. So yeah, both are fairly flawed works, but if I had to choose, I would choose the newer one, Double O, because while it does feel like it goes out on fumes, it's rarely boring like Wing can be. Still, it wouldn't hurt to give either a try. A more recent entry is Gundam Age, which featured a few interesting concepts. One of them was that it was a generational story, with 3 parts showing how a battle a father fights becomes his son's battle, which becomes the son's son's battle. Another was the concept of a failed Mars colonization coming back to haunt the Earth. And another is the age system that creates adaptational weapons for the mobile suits. However, what this show is utterly lacking in is good execution. And those few good ideas could not hold my attention for very long because the characters and story were so dull and repetitive. What else? Yoshiyuki Tomino's non-UC work. In 1999, he directed Turn A Gundam, which takes place in a world that has regressed in technology because of the outcome of wars. It's a treasure trove of references to past Gundam shows from different continuities. But more than that, it's a well-crafted, character-driven work that is very unlike the Big T, but is nevertheless, and some say because of that, quite enjoyable. Then there's his new baby, Reconquista in G, which technically takes place in the far-flung future of the Universal Century, but is mostly its own thing. I have to catch up with the current episodes, but it seems to have the usual Tomino quirks, both for good and ill. It's the newest of the traditional Gundam TV shows, so it might be a good starting point. Speaking of starting points, it's about time I reveal my recommendations for where to begin with Gundam. As I said, the original movie trilogy is an excellent place to start if you don't mind older animation, but if you have a problem at first, 8th MS Theme is a great way to ease you into the central conflict. Coming soon, though, is an adaptation of the Gundam The Origin manga, a retelling of the original series. The first OVA will be a flashback to before the original series and set up the main events, so this could be a golden opportunity to jump onto the franchise. If you can afford it, that is. Gundam is a massive hulking behemoth of a franchise, one of the biggest, most ubiquitous Japanese franchises of all time, and certainly the biggest mecha franchise. There's a lot to watch under the Gundam banner, both of the conventional and the bizarre, so even if you don't follow my advice to the letter, you're bound to find something worth watching in it. Well, with 2 of my anime pillars out of the way, I think I'm ready to get back to Otaku Evolution, but my next recommendation video might rock. The Dragon. Until then, see ya!